Hi, everybody. Welcome. What is up? This is Samantha and John here from Devil
Hello,
Dog.
hello, hello, Devil Dog friends.
Yes. Hey, so we are coming at you live tonight to go over dog body language and what you need to know. And this is for anybody who has a dog, knows somebody with a dog, or also just is curious about dog language. I mean, it's really important to know anytime you encounter a dog. Come on. So we are excited to bring this information to you today, and we are going to start out with more of the fun stuff for you, and then we're going to progress into some of the more intense dog body language as well. Okay.
Yeah, and that's so dead on what Sam said, because whether even if you're not a dog owner, chances are you're going to encounter one. Whether you're out on a walk, you're at a park, you're out with your friends, your kids, whoever. And having been involved in dog rescue for a long time, I can tell you that most dogs are not spontaneous. Unless they have some sort of mental issue or something going on, very rarely will a dog just do something out of the blue and not give you some sort of tell or sign or warning first.
Right.
So knowing what to look for is just vital knowledge, especially if you are a dog parent and you have children or you have people coming in and out of the house. Dogs are pretty good about letting you know how they're feeling, and more importantly, how the situation and the people around them are making them feel. So, this is going to be really good information for all of you to take in.
Right. And, we talk a lot about how you need to read your dog's body language. And that's why we thought it was important to make a video that's breaking down those signs and signals for you so you can see what you're looking for. So
Exactly.
That being said, let's roll right into the first one. John has a nice picture here of the play bow. And so if you have had a puppy in your life, I can guarantee you've seen this, because well-socialized dogs, happy dogs that really don't have any issues being around new environments, they will take the stance, and it's really just playful. Their tail's up, their pupils are dilated, their mouth might be open a little bit. It's not gaping open with that big anxious smile, but they're definitely kind of like, hey, what's going on? I love watching dogs when they get to go around and play with each other. It's really cute.
Yeah, this is basically their way of saying, hey, I'm friendly. I hope you're friendly. Let's have a good time.
Yep. Plain and simple.
All right. So let's move on to the second body language, we'll call it. And that is the belly rub signal. And this is another one of most people's favorites. This is just basically the dog sees you and he wants some love. He drops down, usually rolls right onto their back, sometimes their side, sometimes just legs popping straight up. He's got the relaxed eyes, the mouth open, the tongue hanging out. When you feel them, you can just tell their bodies relax. This guy, this gal, they just want some love. They literally just want that belly rub. They want their ear rubbed. This is the ultimate invitation that hey, this dog means no malice, doesn't have a tense bone in their body. He just wants to be loved on.
Right. And a note on this one, too, is that it's not necessarily like a submission thing going on here either. This is just kind of like I really like my belly being scratched. So
yeah, that's a great point. He's not saying, hey, dominate me. He's just saying, hey, I'm confident in my surroundings. I'm confident in the situation. I just want you to show me some love, and we'll go from there, buddy.
Yeah, because we'll show a different pose later where it's kind of the same thing but pretty different. So cool. All right, let's keep on onward. All right, so this is just like plain and simple, a relaxed, approachable dog. So the things to take note here is that their ears will be back in like kind of a submissive, calm state. Their mouth might be slightly open, but again, it's not this big, anxious, open mouth that we can get into a little bit later. So, and basically you can see that dog is just like, hey, I'm chill, I'm good. There's nothing that's warning us about their posture in this picture. So pretty cut and dry with that one as well.
Yeah. Like she said, it's just a very, this is the inquisitive pose. Like, I'm not ready just to flop down on my back just yet for you, but I'm also not worried about the situation. I'm just kind of checking things out and, making sure I know which way to proceed.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So the next one, we're gonna start getting into the ones where you have to, start paying a little bit more attention, because now the dog's maybe a little bit unsure, or maybe a little bit more curious, and need some questions answered before they make a decision. So
Right.
the next one is the ears perked, the I'm interested signal. And with this, just like it said, the ears are perked up, the mouth is typically closed, the eyes are wide open because they're curious, they want to know what's going on. They usually have that like leaning gait, that leaning forward position, and the tail is kind of wagging. It's not tucked, but it's not curled up. It's just kind of out there at that 90-degree angle with a slight little wag. And that's just their way, whether it's with another animal, whether it's with a human, it's them saying, you know what? I don't know. This could be bad. This could be good. I'm kind of okay with it. I just gotta feel you out and see where you're coming from.
I think, and you hit the nail on the head with this pose, is like they're just kind of maybe feeling out whatever they're approaching.
Exactly.
It really, depending on what that other dog or stimulus is going to do, is going to dictate what happens after this pose. So that's like John said, it's really important just to start paying attention when you see a dog that's like in this stance. So, and which brings us on to what might happen next if you have more of a dominant dog or a dominant a breed that tends to be more dominant. Oh no. Okay, this is when they're fearful. Okay, yeah, this is fearful, and this is the fearful aggressive, right, John?
Yeah, fearful and worried.
Yeah.
And you should really not approach at this point. They're not being dominant. They're not showing signs of aggression, but they're also, they're pretty unsure of the situation, and it's best to just not approach a dog like this because it can go in a lot of different directions. They're not showing any signs of, flat out aggression like you'll see in some of the next pictures that we have, but this dog is very unsure of the situation, and you've got things like the ears are tucked back. They're kind of looking away. You start to see the corner of their mouth kind of moving back. They're starting to lower the back of their body, and the tail is kind of starting to tuck down a little bit. This dog is definitely very unsure of the situation that they're about to be in or are currently in. And, it's best to just give them their space and let them know that, hey, I'm not going to back you into a corner. This doesn't need to go to the next level.
Right. And really, I've watched my dog, Zoe, who tends to be more on the anxious, fearful side, get in this stance when she's like kind of really unsure of her stimulus, and that paw up and that back end lowered, because Zoe's not an aggressive dog, but she can be fearful.
Yeah.
I've never seen her be aggressive. So this is like if your dog's more on the fearful anxiety side of things versus fearful aggression. So
you know what, and to piggyback off what you said, because this is a very common body language that you see in a lot of rescue dogs, because a lot of rescue dogs have been through heck and back. And, when you first meet them, a lot of times you don't know that background, and they're not aggressive. They just been through stuff, and there's situations that are really just going to make them uneasy. And this is typically what you're going to see, as far as their expression of that uneasiness, that uncertainty with a situation, and over time, as they become more assimilated in your life, and, they start to understand the pack leadership and that they're not in danger anymore and that they're safe and protected, you're going to see stuff like this go away. But it's very common, at first, especially when you're meeting a new rescue dog, for them to display this, whether it's around a male or a female or other animals, or you just raising your hand because they used to be beat, or, just so many different things can cause them to kind of go into that tucked, unsure position, and fortunately, with a lot of love and time, typically you can work through that so that they know these different stimuli are not danger signs and not things that they need to be unsure of.
Yeah, it's really just that flight, that pause up. They're ready to just kind of scoot on out of there. They're not going to fight back in the stance. And so it's kind of, I think is our next one, the one where it gets into more of the fearful aggression based.
Yeah. So the next one is dominant aggressive. I'm not approachable.
Yeah. Right.
Now I'll let you run with this one.
Yeah. That picture really just speaks 1,000 words, because this is where you'll see the tuft of fur start to raise. The dog is going to be in a more like leaning forward stance, definitely you'll see. I would say I see this with Louis. The jaw will start to raise. They're going to start to show their teeth. Their tail is going to be straight up. I mean, they're just kind of puffing right out there. And this is a really if you see this, it's time to intervene and create a distraction before what could potentially happen next with this energy. So that dog, they're not fighting yet, but that's definitely the next step that's going to happen in a stance like this. And when my dog, who is has issues with men, and he protects our fence line really intensely, I'll see him kind of puff up, and I have to go over there and separate the interaction and basically reassure him, like, no, I got it, it's okay. But if I don't, he's going to start barking and being a big jerk at the fence line. So, that's definitely that dominance.
Yeah, like exactly what you said there. In this position, this dog's not ready to run. He's ready to throw down. And, unfortunately, looking at this picture, looks like they might be out on a walk, out on a trail, maybe at a dog park or something. And the biggest thing that I notice here is it looks like, at least for sure, one of them is off leash, off collar, off everything. And, I had included this in one of our newsletters. If I personally hate dog parks only because you never know what kind of dog is going to be walking in there. And if you're in this position where your dog comes face to face with another dog like this, it's going to be hard for you to intervene and try to stay injury free. So it's so important that you don't put your dogs in these positions, because it can be a disaster waiting to happen, and it's just not worth it. And like Sam said, if it's a situation where you do have the ability to completely control a situation, typically just deflection is the best thing. Just get them distracted. I mean, literally, one of our American bulldogs, same thing. Whenever somebody would be walking by the door or by the window, they'd get all, they'd show all these signs, and I literally would wet my hand and just flick a little bit of water on their face, and that was it. I mean, it was completely broken. It was like they were being snapped out of a zone, and that's typically all it takes.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you see that pose, you think that, like, oh my gosh, would splashing water really work? But that deflection it's so easy to do, and it works. Like yeah,
or even something like just a big clap like that, or stomp your feet, or do something. I know a lot of people, especially in rescue, will keep like a empty can with like either rocks or coins in them or something, and just grabbing that thing and just shaking it, just really just distract them and break that intense focus that they have on whatever stimuli is causing them to be acting like this.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is, like we mentioned before, this is the dominant aggressive, not approachable. The next one we're going to look at is fearful aggressive, not approachable.
Right. And so this is resemblant of the fearful worried that we talked about, but the fearful worried, they're not going to be aggressive. Whereas this dog, I'd say the telltale sign really is when that tuft starts to come up on their back. And although they're in that like down state, it's almost like they're down ready to jump forward instead of down with the paw up ready to run. And those ears will be back in a submissive state, but they're saying, hey, you touch me, you come closer. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to flee from this. And those are the biggest differences between those poses. And
one's ready to instigate. This one's ready to not back off, but doesn't want to instigate.
Right.
That's like you said. Yeah, you nailed it. So, I know this picture is a little tough to read, so I'll go over some of the signs. You've got the front lowered, the back up a little bit. The tail is pretty much tucked with no movement. You've got the hair raised along the back. The ears are back. Pupils are dilated. The nose is kind of wrinkled. The lips are slightly curled. You might see some teeth, and the corner of the mouth is pulled back. So, I mean, this dog, once again, this is a do not approach situation if it's not your dog. I mean, more than likely this dog's not going to be the initiator, but a dog showing this kind of body language also isn't going to back down.
Yeah, paired with a dominant aggressive, there would definitely be a quarrel happening. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, so the next one is something that you see more in the house, especially around storms, loud noises, fireworks, 4th of July, stuff like that. It's the stress and distress and fearful and worried.
Yeah. And this is basically pretty resemblant of what we had discussed earlier with the fearful worried pose. But this is just more of a just kind of crouched down, not really sure. The ears are back, but they're not like on the ground, you know, where they're as like worried, I guess. Like, lack of words here, John.
Yeah, you know, and a dog in this situation, mainly, you're just going to find them typically doing a lot of panting and pacing.
Yeah.
You know, with that tail down, kind of tucked in. Once again, the pupils are dilated and the ears are back. You know, one of our dogs deals with this a lot with storms and fireworks. You know, and thankfully now that we have our Pure Hemp Naturals hemp oil, it's helped dramatically with that, because anything that's just loud noises, so, you know, the lightning, the thunderstorm, stuff like that, I'll see her all throughout the house in exactly this position, just panting in those super dilated pupils. And, you know, it's sad because I can just see how stressed out she is. But, you know, like I said, now that we've got, you know, some great supplements for her, it completely combats that, so we can avoid, you know, her getting into this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing for Louis. He's really, really sensitive to the loud noises. And so I know that if it's around that time of the year, there's a lot of fireworks going off, I will absolutely give him some of the Pure Hemp Naturals, you know, full spectrum oil. And I see a huge difference. It just takes away that element of the pacing and the panting. And yeah, so.
Yeah. Cool. So the next and final one that we're going to talk about is extreme fear, total submission. And this is definitely not a dog that's looking for a belly rub.
Yeah. That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. There, you know, the one earlier, you know, the tongue's hanging out. It's very relaxed, but that tail's tucked up. That dog's unsure. It's like a lot of the times the dogs will begin to like kind of shut their eyes because they're just so like kind of anxious. They don't want to look. And I've seen Zoe do this if I take her to the vet. And they're trying to like maneuver or something, she'll just kind of flip right on her back and tail up, and it's almost instant. You know, they flip right over, and yeah, so. Yeah,
you know, and one of the things that's kind of hard to see in the picture, but you know, when they're in this state of total submission and fear, so a lot of times they'll discharge, for lack of a better word, some urine. That's usually a sign, just because they're so stressed out that, you know, a lot of times one of the first things to go is that bowel control. And, you know, exactly like you said, it's not an inviting pose. I mean, you'll very clearly be able to tell a difference between a dog who's looking for a belly rub and a dog who's flopped over because they're just that fearful and stressed out of the situation. That's basically them saying, "I'm tapping out. I'm giving up. I can't deal with this situation right now."
Right. It's too much. It's too much. Whatever it is, you know, and that's where it's really important to, you know, recognize that your dog's in that level of distress. And if you can change the situation or get them in a different environment, like, you know, absolutely do that. And sometimes, you know, my dog will get into this pose if she's with a really dominant, aggressive dog. She'll just get that fearful, like, please leave me alone. I don't, you know, like, I don't know what to do. I'm really stressed out. And that's when that separation needs to happen. And you'll see a lot of these different interactions if you do go to a dog park. And like John said, I mean, because you are exposed to, you know, any different kinds of dogs and personalities. So, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I hope that we were able to shed some light on a lot of the different signs that dogs will show you in different scenarios. You know, if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments below. You know, if there's one that you've seen that we haven't addressed, or there's one in particular that you see a lot with your pup and you need help with, you know, if we don't know the answer, we more than likely know somebody that does. So is there any final words that you want to leave our people with, Sam? Yeah, I just, you know, the biggest things to look out for when you're interacting with dogs is the ears, their hair, their tail, and then just their overall, like, is their butt down or are they leaned forward? to take note of, I guess, to kind of summarize it all, because you can really tell based on how alert they are, and also just honestly, it's like when you walk in a room and there are people arguing and you can just feel the tension. Like you can almost feel that because dogs are so expressive. You can feel that like fearful, anxious energy when they flip over and tuck their tail and they're so scared, or you can feel that dog's ready to just like to latch out when they're in that dominant aggressive pose. And so, yeah, if you have any questions at all, just drop them in the comments. If you're catching this on the replay, hit replay in the comments to be eligible to win our $10 gift card. And I just wanted to announce that Tammy Lynn won our $10 gift card from last week. So
awesome. Congratulations, Tammy Lynn. And if you're watching this and you haven't given our Facebook page a like, please do that. Yeah. And we are going to be putting all these videos onto YouTube. So make sure to just subscribe to our channel, Devil Dog Petco on YouTube. And I don't know what we'll be talking about, but we will definitely be back again next Thursday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. And we will continue to bring you knowledge and information and make us all better doggy parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So
awesome. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.